We're theme park families.
Theme park families.
We're theme park families.
Won't you join us now?
We're theme park families.
Thanks for joining us, we aim to please.
If roller coasters got you weak in the knees,
We're theme park families.
if you wanna find the best dessert or
Take a potty break with privacy,
find a coaster that is tame for little ones,
or one to make you scream.
we're theme park families.
Everybody's ready, babies.
Rescuing you all from life's luxuries.
We're theme park families.
We're theme park families.
Press the space bar. Get it?
Yay!
Welcome to another episode of Theme Park Families. I'm Adam.
I'm Andrew. And I'm Alex.
And today we take a little break from our typical format as we're going to talk about a special experience we had during the weekend of Twisted Timbers Media Day. But before that, it's been a crazy spring so far,
Yeah.
if you can call it a spring. Kings Island just opened up this past weekend and we heard the weather was pretty good for that, but it's been all over the place. We've had some days that have been warm, some days that have been freezing. We have areas of the Midwest and the northern parts of the Midwest that have gotten up to 2 feet of snow. And it's interesting because Leah's Oboe just posted on Twitter at Holiday World that they had snow a little while ago, and I interacted with Leah's Oboe a little bit, and it's only a little over 3 weeks until Splash and Safari opens, and they still have snow there. So it has been the craziest of spring so far. And we'll talk about experience on our next episode. We had a great adventure going from the 40s to almost 90s, back down to the 40s. Just a crazy experience, but we'll talk about that on the next episode. So today, we talk about an experience that we had on the Saturday of the Twisted Timbers opening weekend at King's Dominion. And on the Saturday morning, we had an opportunity to go to Central Park Funland, which is in Fredericksburg, Virginia, as that's where our good friend Clint Novak, the general manager, works. And he had to do some editing of his Twisted Timbers video there. Now, Andrew, you and I had gone there 2 years ago and to experience a little bit of Central Park Funland, and pretty interesting how much it's changed,
Yeah.
how much has been added since then, right?
It's so much better. There's such a difference. They've added stuff, they've taken out stuff. Yeah, it's a lot different.
It's pretty incredible, and it just shows the commitment that the owner has to that place. Now, we haven't had a ton of experiences with FEC's Family Entertainment Centers. We've been to a few here and there. It amazes me how much is there.
Andrew, do you know what's been added and what's been taken away? Yes, I do.
And a lot of that stuff are things that we'll talk about in our interview with Clint here in a little bit. This past weekend, Clint actually posted a video of him in the Rock-A-Plane. That's that Ferris wheel outside that you can move, that this was the last weekend of its operation. So a lot of people were sad about that. But different things come and different things go over time. We'll talk about a lot of our experiences that we had there in our interview. But I just wanted to give a brief description of all of the major things that they had there. Because even though it's not a huge plot of land, there are so many different things you can do there. And I would think you guys agree, you could spend a full day there if you did all the different activities,
yeah,
right?
you could spend a full day there and still want to do more. That's how good it is. Like, Andrew's favorite thing there is clip and climb.
It's interesting with that on that Saturday when we were there, Media Day for Twisted Timbers and the opening night for Pass Holder Preview Night was on the Friday. So we went there Saturday morning. I had to drag you guys out of there to actually go back to King's Dominion. They would have stayed the whole rest of the day, but we had to do other things at King's Dominion, so that's how much they loved it. So just some of the major attractions they have inside. They have a good number of things inside and outside. So they have the laser tag there. They also have mini bowling, and Andrew and I did a couple of games of mini bowling.
And I beat you.
I don't remember you winning
beat
at all.
you.
Doesn't sound familiar.
And you know it.
Clip and climb they have there as well. One of the things we talk about in detail in the interview. Spin out, which we didn't do, but Clint does talk about that. Those are their bumper cars that are actually much more interesting than your typical bumper cars with their round shape. So those are really, really cool. They have a Himalaya, which a lot of theme parks have, but they have one inside. So if it is raining outside, you can do their Himalaya. We didn't, yeah. We couldn't do everything. We just didn't have enough time. They've got the Hologate inside as well, which is their virtual reality system that we'll talk about.
Andrew loved it.
Yep. Frog Hopper, their little drop tower. So for little kids who are at least 4 years old, they can do the Frog Hopper, which is a fun little bouncy drop tower for them. They've got spinning teacups for now inside. I think there are some changes to switch that up. A kiddie Ferris wheel right inside the entrance, and then a play zone with all sorts of climbing spots.
And
there's gonna be big
slide.
And there's these two slides that wrap around each other. But first, there's it just goes slow, and then you start doing spinning.
Yeah, it's so fun.
Yeah.
Also inside they have some really good video games. Some of them are just gigantic versions of their original games that are a little bit more interactive. So really impressive how many cool video games they have inside. And skee ball as well. So a lot of fun things to do inside. And then outside, there are so many more things for kids to do as well as adults.
And there's also this place that you can practice baseball, where if you hit the target that are on top of these roofs, there's a tiny color, and then it blinks a little.
Yeah, so they set up very cool interactive targets for their batting cages, which are very cool. They have the fun slides, almost like Hershey Park has near Wildcat. They've got the Roundup, which is a classic ride like Swashbuckler at Great Adventure that you like to do.
And he said that was at Michael Jackson's park, so that Michael Jackson might have ridden that.
Oh, yes. Which is a pretty cool aspect there. They've got a scrambler outside, and who doesn't love a good scrambler? Tilt-a-whirl outside as well. So a lot of these classic theme park rides that they have outside. And then they have the 2 go-kart tracks as well. So between all of that stuff, it is such an amazing place where you really can spend a full day. They have season passes. They have a little place that you can get some snacks and eat a little bit. Even though Clint is a good friend of ours, an unbiased opinion would be that we really did enjoy the place. And with King's Dominion having a lot more people coming this year for the opening of their new ride, I strongly suggest if you're going as a family for 2-3 days to that area of Virginia, I'd say Central Park Funland is about 25 minutes north of King's Dominion, somewhere in there. And if you're going to be in that area for 2-3 days and it's a super hot time of the year, then going to Central Park Funland is a nice way to split up your time there, that you can get a number of different packages and wristbands, and this is a great way to split up the day. If you have some younger kids who might not want to be outside quite as much, there is so much to do at Central Park Funland, and it really can be a nice diversion, a nice change from being at King's Dominion. So we can't suggest it enough. It's our money back guarantee that you'll have a great time at Central Park Funland.
I would agree.
Yeah.
All right, so enjoy our interview with Clint. We won't see you on the other side, but we'll have another episode coming out this week talking about a few other things that are going on. We'll have all of our classic segments like Andrew's News, our Ride of the Week, and other things. So we'll see you then. Enjoy the interview.
Yep.
On the day after Twisted Timbers Media Day, we have the pleasure of coming to another Virginia top attraction at Central Park Funland. We are so excited to be here with Clint Novak, the general manager. Thanks so much for having us, Clint.
No problem. Thanks, guys, for coming.
It's been a great morning. First of all, Andrew, what have you had a chance to do so far?
We've been doing all rides and games, and my favorite here has been the clip and climb, where there are 5-6 towers and you can just climb up them, and that's actually really fun.
Alex, something you wanted to say.
Yeah, how much money did this whole thing cost you?
Wow, well.
Lots and lots.
Yes, I mean, for any great attraction, there's going to be a ton of money involved, and it shows what Central Park Funland has done. And so that's a great segue, Alex, to our next question. When we ask, for this year, this has to be one of the most profound years in Central Park's history with everything that you've done in the last 12 months, I'd say.
Yeah, we actually started in 2017, as Alex said, spend lots of money. And over the last 2 years, or 2018, the full year being included, we're spending close to $2 million in renovations here at the park. The renovations started very basic with things like new carpet, new card readers, new POSs, new kiosks, things that the guests wouldn't necessarily say, we got to go to Funland, you should see their new card system. But when they're here, it makes a big difference over what the old system was. Bathrooms were included in that. Again, nobody's walking in going, "Oh my God, look at how great this bathroom is," but they're not walking into the old bathroom and saying, "This bathroom is disgusting." 20-year-old bathroom, it had definitely seen better days. So those are things that are not as fun that we had to do. But then there are a lot of fun things that we got to do as well. Just before this big renovation, we did our laser tag arena in 2015, in 2016, and then in 2017 we started with our bumper car attraction. We wanted something that was going to be easier for kids to enjoy. So we went from a classic bumper car, it was a Majestics, to a RDC bumper car. And it's like a flying saucer. It's a round bumper car that you got 2 joysticks and you can control backwards and forwards. Really, really fun ride. You can spin in circles and get yourself sick. It's great.
And so that gives people a very different experience than other bumper cars, traditional ones that they might have been on before.
Yes. If you've been to any amusement park, you know the traditional ones where if you get in a big pile up to go backwards, you have to go all the way to the left or all the way to the right. Kids don't understand that. They don't understand gas pedals and steering. They do understand joysticks. And so the adults actually have more trouble than the kids do operating the bumper cars because it's just so easy. And then after that, we redid our mini bowling lanes. We had 4 lanes, older Highway 66 lanes. We put 2 more on, so now we have 6. And total renovation, new light package, new computer system. So it has several different games that people can play. My favorite is U-Tunes, which is one where it actually takes your picture several different directions and then puts it into the graphics that happen in between the bowling lane. So if, let's say the 4 of us played, our faces would appear on the characters that are in between the frames of bowling.
So it would show you dancing or something like that after a strike.
There's so many different things that would show our faces doing, and it's really, really funny. So we got that, and then unlike other amusement parks, we do this stuff and we're open year round. So when we built our bumper cars, we didn't have an off season to say, okay, let's take our time, remove the other bumper cars, put in the new bumper cars. We had to do it while we were open. We did that in May of last year, which is a pretty busy time of year for us. It was only down 1 weekend, so we started disassembling our past bumper cars, and it only took us 3 days to install the new bumper cars, test, and get them operational. When we did mini bowling, it was another 2-week project. We had to go down for 2 weeks. We didn't get a hand in that, so we were totally at the mercy of the contractors because that's a little more in-depth than what we could do. So it was 2 great projects. Really made those areas stand out and just totally different. And then we jump into 2017. He said first attraction, you said your favorite's Clip and Climb, right?
Yep, that's my favorite. I just like the climbing aspect, and it's not just climbing walls. There's other unique ones where they're stairs going up, and then there's one that's, I don't know how to explain it.
The poles?
Like the Mario poles?
Yeah, exactly. Like the Mario pipes. Yep. They're even the same color.
Stairway to Heaven.
Exactly.
And then there's another one that's very unique. It's like stairs. Kind of.
Yeah, like blocks.
It's
like blocks.
Yeah,
exactly.
like blocks in the shape of stairs. But that one's very cool too.
DNA. Shape of DNA.
A shape of DNA?
Wow. I would say Lego blocks, but DNA is way better to say it.
First grade. What do you know about DNA helixes? That's pretty incredible. You've been studying DNA lately?
It's from Jurassic Park.
Oh, even better.
Yes,
even better.
Wow, the original Jurassic Park where they're showing that, in the tour. That is awesome. Great job. I love that. Well, speaking of Clip and Climb, I think one of the genius parts of this, and I had no idea what the system was, that you don't need someone belaying. Yes. That is incredible. The system of the cord is attached up top, and it's like a self-belaying system. It's a really amazing thing, which certainly makes it all possible.
Yeah, I have 2 questions about Clip and Climb. So one, what do the buttons do? I know for the speed one, it stops the time, but what do the others do?
Every time you hit the button, a mile away, a chocolate bar falls from the sky, and people just get rewarded with random chocolate bars.
Which is not you, because there's a roof, sadly.
Yeah, it's landing on the roof. So,
okay.
Fortunately, it really doesn't do much other than blink, so it's giving you the accomplishment of, hey, you get to hit the button. We're actually looking in to see if there's a alarm that we could hook up to that's not going to drive the staff absolutely crazy, but it is a possibility of getting some type of alarm that'll go off when you hit that button.
And you wanted to ask about IAPA?
Yeah.
A prize.
And
A prize
so,
would be nice.
And a prize.
Chocolate bar, yeah.
so when you were shopping at IAPA and you saw Clip and Climb, were you like able to test it out and see like if that's the thing you wanted for the park?
Yes and no. So, as you guys know, I'm a coaster enthusiast, so I've been going to IAPA way longer than I've been working here. So, I actually met the Clip and Climb guys 3, 4, 5 years ago.
Okay.
We did videos on In the Loop of Andrew doing the Stairway to Heaven.
Ah,
at
okay.
IAPA.
Yeah.
So, they had a chance to enjoy that attraction, and fast forward years later, we actually have a wall, and I don't know if you guys, but by laser tag, there's those
Yes.
grab and win claws. Very narrow stretch of nothing there, except now there's claws. But I was actually looking at that to put Clip and Climb, and I said, well, I talked to the owner. I said, there's a great company that does very narrow climbing walls where it would take very few people to operate. We could do it right here, do 4 walls. And we started toying around with the idea 2 years ago. So it was a while ago when we started looking at this, and then he said, I don't like the idea of tucking them in the corner. And I said, well, tucking them in the corner was the whole idea, because the corner is what we were trying to attract people to, because nothing is there, very small stretch. And then he said, well, if we're going to do it, let's put it in the very back of the park, so when people walk in, they'll see it back there, and then they'll climb. And I said, okay. So we looked at that for a while. We got quotes and prices. And then he came back and he said, this is silly. If we're going to do it, I want it right when you walk in the door, you know?
Yeah.
And so that meant we had to get rid of an attraction. Remember what was there?
Was it the mini roller coaster?
It was.
Well, Mini. I mean, Mini is
Yeah.
all about perspective.
Yeah, it
to
was
some people,
it
that's
was a
like
tiny
fury.
coaster. But it will be. It was the tallest and fastest launch coaster in Fredericksburg, and it will officially next year be the tallest and fastest steel coaster in Vermont.
Oh, that's
Because
where it
moved to
went.
Vermont. It's gonna be
Okay.
the first steel coaster in Vermont.
Wow, making
but
history.
We had to remove that in order to put Clip and Climb there. And so, again, that whole process started 2 years ago. We finally narrowed it down. And from us saying, okay, let's do it, to production, all that, it took about 6 months to get it installed. No, that only took 2 weeks to install it, but 6 weeks from us buying it to installing it.
Right.
Now, some people will say, well, one thing that we did while we were building it is it was actually going to go in the exact footprint of the Jetstar. And we were toying around with the idea of buying a spin coaster from IAPA. And the owner didn't know if that was the best value, because it's an expensive coaster, over $300,000. And so when we're looking at that, we're like, is this going to be the right fit for us? It's a lot of money to spend on attraction. So we didn't know if we wanted to do that or not. And I said to him in September, I said, well, here's the thing. If we're even considering it, we need to move Clip and Climb 4 feet forward, because the only place it's going to fit in the whole building is behind Clip and Climb. I said, so if that's something we want to consider, let's just move Clip and Climb 4 feet forward, so we know that if we want to do it in the future, we'd have space for it.
Planting that
So,
seed, yes.
He said, okay, let's do that, move it 4 feet forward. The next day he calls me back and he says, let's just go ahead and see if we were to purchase one, how long it's going to take and everything. So I called him and I said, I called Rides for You, and they explained, well, Germany's coming up a week from now where they do a big expo there. They'll sell them there. So that'll put it from a 6-month waiting period to an 8-month waiting period.
Wow.
But if we wait till November, it goes to a year.
Okay.
Because after IAPA, they sell so many.
Wow.
So he said, okay, 6 months. I called the owner back and said 6 months. If we bought it today, and that's before they go to their expo in 2 days, it would be 6 months, and he put a deposit down right there. So I turned around and we bought a roller coaster. So we got that coming in. We're hoping it's going to arrive in late May. The install is going to be very quick. It's only a 3-day install. So we'll have it installed hopefully in late May, early June. We want to have it open by CoasterCon, Aces CoasterCon. We're telling the public that it won't be open until July 1st, because if something happens in customs or something like that, we don't want them being disappointed if we don't open it in time. So we're actually overshooting what we think it's going to be, but we're pretty sure we're going to have it up in early June.
All Atlantic area, Northeast coaster fans, an opportunity to get your credit in very soon.
Well, I think you've
when that
got
when that
another
comes.
I think you got another hit on your hands.
And I believe it's not only just the coaster, that you also got a package along with that?
Yeah, we obviously, if you look around the place, it looks a lot different because we've been doing a lot with lighting. We've blacked out windows, so the natural sunlight doesn't come in anymore. We've been a lot of LED lights up, taking away these big gymnasium lights, I call them. I don't know what they're called, but just like warehouse lights.
Harsher.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And so we only have a small amount of those left, and that's over our play zone and teacups right now. That's all going to be replaced by red LED lights up there. But then the coaster itself not only has LEDs on the trains, but we bought a whole LED light package. So when we went to IAPA, we had already purchased the coaster. We got to IAPA, and we said they had a prototype of their track light system that goes around the track, and I think it was another $25,000 for this, and we ended up buying that. So it was a crazy IAPA. This year we bought a lot of stuff at IAPA. Mini donuts. We bought mini donuts, a mini donut cart from IAPA, which will open later today. It's a Saturday, so it'll open at 2 o'clock.
Yeah, I saw that.
We bought I don't want to call him a mascot because he doesn't represent the park, but he is part of the park, our Fun 5 robot. So from robotcostumsusa.com, we bought a robot mascot who comes around the park. He just arrived last week, so he hasn't actually officially been out in the park yet with guests, but we've done a couple videos with him, and he should be making an appearance later today.
And if someone wants to see those videos, where can they find that?
At our Facebook page. So our Facebook page, and I'm not exactly sure of the URL. I think it's CP Funland, but it could be Central Park Funland. Definitely just check out our website, centralparkfunland.com. Links to Twitter, Facebook, all of that's there.
And that's not all that's new inside, because over in the corner by bowling, another new experience that's come into Central Park Funland.
Yep, and this is something we went to IAPA to purchase, or to look at, I shouldn't say purchase, to look at the idea of doing escape rooms for the month of October. We want to kind of get a better grasp of a Halloween event. We did a haunted house last year, which was very successful, very scary. And we wanted to do something along those lines to make it more of a haunted festival kind of thing. So we're looking at haunted escape rooms. And we decided that probably wasn't what we wanted to do, labor intensive and all the things that, very low capacity.
Yes.
And while we were at Creative Works doing an escape room, we turned around and we looked at this virtual reality experience. And we've done virtual reality at IAPA, and it never is as good as you want it to be. And we were looking at this, and it had a really long line, and we said, well, what's this? And he goes, well, let me just show you. So he buds us to the front of the line and gets us on there, and we bought it instantly. We got off it, and we ended up purchasing it right away. And we weren't the only ones. A lot of people got it. Adventure Park USA up in Maryland has it. There's another putt-putt place in Richmond that just got it. So a lot of places around here got it, and around the U.S. and world. So,
which means they lower the price point a lot from what these systems were originally costing?
It was under $100,000, which is very low for a virtual reality experience. It's a 4-player Hologate virtual reality experience. It only has 2 game types on it now. Any day now we should get Snow Clash, which will be another game option for people. And it's just really high resolution, really, really high graphics, really great experience.
And what is the basic idea behind the game?
There's 2 different kinds. They're both in the Samurai series. We don't allow people to play the more complicated kind unless they've played the other one a few times, because we don't want them to learn how to play virtual reality and then learn how to play this complicated game in the 5-minute span that they have, because that would be a waste of money. We want to make sure that they're getting the most bang for the buck. So the first version is everybody's on the same team, and we're fighting off robot samurais. So we've got a robot samurai, a sumo bot, a dragon, all coming at you, and you guys are defending your base against these robot samurais. The second version is a player versus player. You can have 2 people versus 2 people, and you're in an arena with floating islands. And you warp to the islands, and if you control the island for 5 seconds, it turns your team color. And the goal is to control as many of those as possible. If I end up tagging you or killing you in the game, you warp back to your base, and you can't do anything for 5 seconds. So it gives us an advantage to get more bases, or more platforms. So
similar to laser tag in that way, where once you get shot, your gun is inactive for a little while.
I think 3 seconds. Yeah.
Exactly.
It gives you time to run away.
Okay, and that's
So you
about
don't
it.
get tagged.
Exactly.
Maybe someone just shoots.
Yep.
Yeah, immediately, and you don't want that to happen.
So, is there an age limit for the VR? Because I know at parks that have roller coasters on VR, there are like age limits. I believe is 13.
We don't. We tell people that it's recommended for 13 and above due to the development of children's depth perception at that age. You're in it for such a short amount of time that it really, unless you're playing a lot of virtual reality, I don't think it's going to have that kind of effect. But we give the parents the warning up front so they know, and then they're allowed to play. So there's no height limit or age limit. It's just whatever's comfortable for them. So we try on the goggles first to make sure that they're going to fit and that it's not going to pull off their head because it hangs from above. And so the only thing that we have an age limit on is our go-karts. You have to be 8 or older.
And that's another great segue, as we've talked about inside this whole time so far. We know some new things are going on outside. Visually, you can see it from the street when you drive in with these massive black and white things that you've been working on over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's, again, the stuff that we're doing outside is not going to be fun for everybody, but it's necessary changes. We've had a collection of picnic tables over the years that don't match and are, not in the best condition, and we wanted to get rid of all of that and uniform to a solid, same park bench, picnic table, trash cans, all look the same. So, those very expensive and not very fun for people. But we need a place to sit. We also needed shaded areas. We didn't have any shade before. We put 5 funbrellas, they're called. Really big. You'll see them at water parks all the time. Big, massive umbrellas, 20 feet in diameter, so people will have a shaded area to sit at while they're out there. We're looking at doing cooling stations. We want to build a new patio now that we're getting picnic tables, so we got some things that we want to do with that. And we have a lot of flags going up, so checkered flags are going up, so we're staying with the race theme as we're doing all this. Our Tilt-A-Whirl out there actually got a new paint job as well, so it's checkered flag to match the rest of what we're doing.
And the funbrellas are massive.
Yeah, really big.
Which in the middle of Virginia summer, you kind of want to get into the shade a little bit.
And also, I won 2 prizes in a row.
What did you win your prizes on?
The rigged
What?
games.
The rigged games, does he say?
Yeah.
The rigged games.
He's seen too many behind the scenes videos
The
about
claw
that.
machine, and
Well-
also I won 2 in a row.
But if you won 2 in a row, are they rigged? I would say probably not. Right?
Yeah.
You're a winner, so.
No, because I'm lucky.
So,
You're lucky.
There are a lot of claw videos out there that are definitely not truthful.
Yeah.
We've seen those videos, and they're pushing key switches and stuff, and it's ridiculous. But, just to kind of put the rumors to rest, claw machines are, first, a kind of like a slot machine. Mm-hmm. They are going to pay out depending on how many plays that they've got in. So that's the first thing. You got to be lucky enough to have been able to get into that window, but then after it hits that window, it turns into a game of skill.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to pick up that item, and so once the claw machine knows that it made enough to give out an item, then it will unlock itself to actually allow you to win.
And Alex, you proved that you have the skill because you've
Yes.
won multiple times. So.
Knobby balls and emoji guy. So look at you.
Love pink love emoji that's opening now.
Yeah, which is awesome stuff. So that is great. So Alex, you proved that you can be a winner in the claw game.
Yeah,
so
but except for I did prove one thing that I can cheat.
You didn't cheat. You didn't cheat. You had skill. Although that's true. When we played what did you cheat on?
Mini golf.
Yeah.
At the last hole, I went under the fence and then put it in the hole and I came back.
So you didn't get anything free for that. But the mini golf course was in great shape. Some really nice water features to it. I think Alex hit into a ravine. So that's that was that wasn't
I keep
the best
hitting
shot.
rockets.
It does happen, yes. You're too strong for your own good. So we've got the two different go-karts, and the age limit you said again was?
8 years old for the go-karts.
Okay.
So everything else, no age restraints. It's all just based off of height and weight. So depending on the attraction. And like I said, the fun stuff is not happening outside yet. We have some ideas of what we want to do in the future. We're kind of weighing our options and seeing which ones are going to be the best value and have the best impact on the guests. So, park benches and funrellas are not going to impact the guest experience hugely. We hope that it's kind of a subconscious thing, and they say, "Hey, look, there's changes happening." So,
as you said, taking away any detriments. There's not enough shade, or the bathroom isn't as nice as it could be. Getting rid of those just takes away those negative reviews. It's all of those are definite positives and make for a much better experience.
Yeah, we should put a review on their website.
Well, I actually did when we came the first time. Yeah, it was immediately. I forget if it was TripAdvisor or whatever it was. I remember we did a review right after that, and what a difference! I think that was 2 summers ago, is my guess, and it is so apparent and obvious the changes that have happened in these 2 years. It really is looking amazing, and so many different things have changed in that short period of time. Anything else for 2018 that we didn't cover that you're looking forward to?
Let's see. Well, we have a lot of events that are going on at the park. White Castle comes by a couple of times a year. They'll be coming in May. We don't have White Castle local here, so we actually have a food truck come down from Kentucky. They come down from Louisville, and the first time they came, they sold out of burgers in 2 days, and they're like, okay, we need to bring more burgers. So they bring a support truck down now, so they have 2 trucks, and they've sold out of burgers every time they're here. So now they're getting closer to the end time, so it's like, Sunday at 8 o'clock, they're running out of burgers, but... they never want to bring product back with them, kind of thing. But it's been crazy, and nobody's from Fredericksburg. Everybody comes from somewhere else. So we get a chance to bring a little bit of the Midwest and Northeast to Fredericksburg. So we do that. We have movies on the Midway where we have a big inflatable screen go up and screen free movies for our guests. I mean, they don't have to pay or anything. They just get to show up at the park and watch a movie. We did Hocus Pocus last October. We hope to do a few of those this year. And we got our Easter extravaganza scavenger hunt coming up tomorrow, where we'll have Fun 5 appear for one of his first times. We got the Easter Bunny coming, and we're going to be doing different things for free for guests as well. So we try to do a lot of these free events because we want people to come and experience what new Funland has to offer. And we want them to come and see a movie on us, and hopefully they'll see the changes that are happening to the park while they're doing it. Definitely don't need to spend any money to do those attractions. White Castle, you have to pay them for the burgers, but you don't have to pay us to get in. So it's free parking, free admission, and people can come in and enjoy the park.
And other events you were talking about, you mentioned it briefly when you did your Halloween event, something we've heard of before. Can you just take us quickly through what your haunt was this year? Because it was so radically different, and I know we have a lot of haunt fans, so it was so radically different than anything we've heard of before, and what your plans are maybe for this year if you're going to tweak that a little bit.
Now, I'm going to say spoiler alert. So if you don't want to be spoiled and you want to experience it, please come down and experience it, and you won't know our little tricks that we're playing.
Yes, fast forward the next couple of minutes, absolutely.
There you go. But no, we wanted to do a house. We had some limitations. One, it had to be done on a very limited budget. We had to do it really in-house, so that left us $5,000 or less. 2, we still had to run laser tag on Saturdays and Sundays. So we can't take away laser tag as an experience from our busiest times. And so we had to come up with a way to build a haunted house in our laser tag maze and be able to do it in the same day as running laser tag. So we'd run it in the morning as laser tag, and then at 6 o'clock we'd close it down. We'd have our team of characters come in, build the walls and everything that would go into it. And by 7 o'clock, we'd be running people through it. We have very limited characters in there. The theme was just darkness, maze of darkness. So, all of the different things that may scare you, clowns, vampires, dolls, all of those kind of things were in there. And we allowed the employees to kind of create their own persona and character and costumes. We had a King's Dominion slider who worked with us this year. That was part of it.
And what is a slider, Andrew?
Isn't
that the one with the knee pads where they like can slide on them and sometimes cause
Yep.
And they come from behind you, and that gets a little scary. Alex, there was one thing you wanted to say before continuing the story?
When I was in laser tag, I was at the top of the ramp, and then there was stuff that sprayed out, and then I was like, and then I ran down.
yeah,
and now I think like that
yeah.
could be in the horn.
That was that's a brilliant point. When I saw that go off, I thought that was the neatest thing.
Yep.
What exactly?
When I saw it go off, I thought at the end, the middle would have something to that, and then like I was like super scared.
Yeah, that was the. You were shocked. I saw your face when that happened.
So what he's talking about is we have two geysers in our laser tag arena at the red base and green base. When you destroy the red base, it squirts out fog, but it changes the color to red because it's in the dark. So you need to have those lights.
I had no
And the green
idea.
base, it does the same thing with green fog. So he's getting ahead of me, though. I'll get back to that.
Okay, yeah. Okay,
All
so that's good. We'll hold on
So,
to that thought.
the theme of our house was darkness. It was a pitch black maze. No lights in the maze whatsoever except the light that we give you at the beginning of the maze, which is a flashlight. It is a, hold on a second.
Oh,
I
look,
remember
there's
this in a podcast.
Oh, you remember hearing this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like they can control and you get scared when they and you think something.
So that is the
Here it is.
flashlight. It looks like a cheap Walmart flashlight.
Yeah.
Now we actually took the lens and put UV tape on it, so it made it very, very dim. Because a flashlight in a dark maze is going to be a flashlight. So
Right.
we wanted it to be very, very non-helpful. Very little help provided. Just enough so you can see where you're going. Now, we'd only let one group go through at a time. So if it was a group of 6 or more, we'd give them 2 flashlights, one for the front, one for the back. If it was less than 6, they got 1 flashlight and had to march on through by themselves. Now, if you get scared and one person's holding the flashlight, they run ahead. The rest of your group is now left in the dark.
Oh, that's awesome.
All right. So, and one unique thing about our laser tag maze is, unlike other haunts, we don't have a backstage area because every portion of the maze they walk through and we walk through. So we created it where we could see over walls and under walls, and we had some secret passageways that would advance us forward into the maze and not them, and some that would get us behind them. So we were always either ahead of them or behind them or right next to them. But there was only 5 of us, and we would be all over the place. So it was like we had a lot of characters. And so the flashlight provided them that very little light so they could see. The thing that they didn't know, and this is the spoiler alert,
Warning. Okay.
that we control the flashlight. So while they're in there, we
Genius.
actually have a remote control that will turn the light on and off while they're walking through the maze, and they don't know it. So you hear them do this, trying to get the flashlight to work again because they think the batteries got loose. It's a horror movie. I'm scared.
And are there people in the groups sometimes arguing like, "What do you do to light?"
Turn on the light. Turn on the light. So
I didn't do anything.
And I would most of the time have control of it because I was the guy who kind of did the brief spiel to get him in the maze and then got him in there. And so we would, at some points I couldn't even see where they were in the maze, but I knew when I turned it off because you would hear this in the maze because they were trying to get the light on. We had a lot of fun with that. It was very evident very early on that we needed a safe word. So because people were getting so scared and they would start crying and all these things. So we didn't want to terrify them that badly.
Scar
We
people.
wanted to get them to a point where if they said the safe word, we turn into nice little characters, turn on the lights, and get them out as quickly as possible.
Yep.
So if a group of 4 is going in, somebody said our safe word, which is Big Bird. If they said Big Bird, then we would the characters would repeat it and yell, and everybody would stop. Some of them would take their masks off, and then we would go and turn on some lights that they'd be able to navigate through the maze. We would actually escort them. If it's only one person in the group, we'd only take that one person out. So the rest of the group would then the lights would go off, music comes on, flashlights out, and they're back in the dark being scared. We think that we were close to like 1/8 of the people going through were yelling Big Bird. We had a very high Big Bird ratio, so it was very, 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 very unique to have a house that plays with your emotions that much. One more thing we had was a mosh pit, we called. It was a fake wall that you would walk by. Somebody would be holding it, 2 handles, a little peephole.
Yeah.
And after you walk by it, when you wouldn't be looking, they would close the wall. And so then you would be stuck in an area of the maze because it would be a dead end at that
Oh
point.
my gosh.
And the way out would have been the way that they came in, but they didn't know where they came in because now there's walls everywhere. And they didn't know where the wall came from.
So you're trapped.
So you're trapped in there.
Yeah,
Isn't that
exactly.
cool?
Yeah,
Well,
messing with your mind like that.
And
Yeah.
the second you got trapped in there, we would make sure that you knew you were trapped in there by taunting you and
Come on, get out.
In a maze,
Yeah.
trapped in a maze.
How do they get out?
And,
once it's
well,
been
eventually.
forever?
Eventually, we would pull back that wall, and where the wall was originally where they walked by it, that was actually the way they'd have to go to get out. And so then they would walk through the maze at that point. And it was really, really, again, it's not highly themed because the theme was dark. But it was really fun. It was the first time I got a chance to do something I've wanted to do for years and years, and that's actually run a haunt. And had a great team, a great team that could put the maze together in a very short amount of time, could tear it down when needed, and they did a great job, I'll say, messing with the minds of the people who came in. And I like to think it had a lot, you can look at the results of having so many big birds and so many people scared. We have security footage that we ended up actually putting on Facebook of people trying to, like, we had to make a rule, this is fun, we had to make a rule that there could be no characters in the first 2 turns of the maze, because if we couldn't get the door closed, they would run back out the door.
Oh my
so
gosh.
we had to make it so that we could close the door and then scare them, because otherwise they were running out the door, and they, we didn't want somebody to get hurt. They're tripping over each other and all this stuff. So we made a rule that we couldn't even have characters in the first part of the maze until you couldn't scare or do anything until you heard the door slam, and then we yelled fresh meat, and that was when everything was game on.
Fresh meat.
Game on from that point.
So then perhaps next October some new twists to it. And
we definitely have some ideas we wanted to play around with. I think we're going to bring back the same kind of theme, play with your emotions in there. The flashlights will definitely make a comeback. We had quite a few people go through, but a lot of people also didn't understand that we were controlling the flashlight, so I think that makes it even better. We're definitely going to do it again, Maze of Darkness this October. And hopefully we'll have some other things too along the lines of kind of a fall festival. So we're working on all those plans right now.
That is terrific. So for everyone in 2018 who are coming to King's Dominion to experience Twisted Timbers for the first time, pairing it if you're coming for a long weekend, having some variety. Central Park Funland is such a great contrast to King's Dominion because they offer such different things. And so it's a great idea to come out and see Clint at Central Park Funland. He might even take a picture with you, perhaps. Right? So definitely,
I would definitely take pictures.
There we go. So you have the guarantee. It's a wonderful place. So many different things to do. Whether you have an hour or 4 hours, you really could spend a very different amount of time depending on how many things you want to do. Like one thing that Andrew mentioned before, batting cages. There are just so many different things.
Did you see the bullseyes we put on the batting cages?
Oh,
Yes,
no.
I did.
You
when I
did.
was out of the building.
Yeah. So
Okay.
there's 2 bullseyes, and the same guy who built our flashlights built these for us. When you hit it, they light up and go crazy, and a car alarm goes off. So it actually is a working, like Top Golf. It's like a working target where you hit it, and it's going to go crazy and let people know that you hit the target. So really, really cool new addition. A lot of people come and do batting cage practice. That's just an extra little element for them. If you hit the target, maybe they get something from their coach or something.
And so many times it's those small touches, right, guys? It's not necessarily the brand new giant coaster, but it can be a small thing like that just makes one attraction that much better. So very, very cool. All right, well, thank you, Clint, so much for having theme park families
guys.
here. It's an amazing place, and we are looking so forward to getting back here at some point, especially when the new coaster opens. Yes.